The upscale restaurant on the outskirts of San Francisco was the kind of place where reservations had to be made weeks in advance. A quiet, yet sophisticated ambiance, soft jazz playing in the background, and a clientele that included tech executives, politicians, and celebrities. It was the last place anyone expected a controversy to unfold. Elon Musk walked in alone, dressed casually in jeans, a black t-shirt, and, most notably, a bright red MAGA hat. He wasn't trying to make a statement. He had simply grabbed the hat that was sitting on his kitchen counter before heading out. But in a city like San Francisco, wearing such a hat was bound to stir emotions. As he approached the hostess stand, a young woman with a polite but stiff demeanor greeted him. "Good evening, sir. Do you have a reservation?" "Yep, under Musk," he replied, glancing around the restaurant. It wasn't overly crowded, but the air carried a quiet energy. People deep in conversation, enjoying their expensive meals, unaware of the storm about to hit. The hostess's eyes widened for a split second before she quickly masked her surprise. Elon Musk? The Elon Musk in their restaurant? It wasn't every day that one of the richest men in the world casually strolled in for dinner. "Of course, Mr. Musk. Right this way." She led him to a corner table with a perfect view of the city skyline. Elon settled into his chair, flipping open the menu as a waiter approached. "Would you like something to drink to start, sir?" "Just a sparkling water, thanks." As the waiter nodded and turned to leave, another figure appeared, a man in his mid-40s, dressed in a neatly pressed white shirt and navy blue vest. His name tag read, Michael, General Manager. He had been watching Elon from the moment he walked in, his gaze fixed on the bold red hat. The moment Elon made eye contact, Michael stepped forward. "Excuse me, sir," he began, his voice firm but measured. "I'm going to have to ask you to remove your hat." Elon raised an eyebrow. "Excuse me." "The hat," Michael repeated, gesturing toward it. "This is a private establishment, and we don't allow political attire that could make other guests uncomfortable." Elon chuckled, more amused than offended. "You're telling me that in a city where people wear shirts that say, 'Tax the rich' and 'Eat the billionaires,' my hat is the problem?" Michael's expression didn't change. "I understand your perspective, sir, but we have a policy." Elon leaned back in his chair, studying the manager. He could feel the weight of nearby glances. Other diners now watching the exchange. Some whispered to their companions, while others simply waited, intrigued by how this would unfold. "So let me get this straight," Elon said slowly. "If I were wearing a hat that said Bernie 2024 or BLM, you wouldn't have an issue?" Michael hesitated, just for a moment, but it was enough. "That's different," he said at last. "Ah," Elon nodded. "Different? Because you agree with those messages?" "It's not about that," Michael said quickly. "It's about ensuring a comfortable environment for all our guests." Elon smiled, but there was no humor in it. He knew exactly what was happening. The restaurant wasn't enforcing a neutral policy. They were enforcing a biased one, and that was a problem. Michael straightened his posture. "I'm going to have to ask you to either remove the hat or leave." Elon exhaled slowly, tapping his fingers against the table. The entire room felt like it was holding its breath. "All right," he said, finally, his voice even. And then, to everyone's surprise, he stood up, adjusting the MAGA hat on his head. "I'll leave," he said, "but don't think for a second that this is over." As he turned toward the exit, a few diners clapped quietly, showing their approval for the restaurant's stance. Others looked uncomfortable, unsure whether to intervene or stay silent. But Elon didn't seem fazed, because what he was about to do next would turn this small restaurant scuffle into a national controversy. As Elon Musk stepped out of the restaurant, he could still feel the stares from inside. Some guests had looked smug, satisfied that the problem had been dealt with. Others had seemed uneasy, as if they knew this wasn't just a simple case of a dress code violation. He took a deep breath and chuckled to himself. They had no idea what they'd just done. Pulling out his phone, he opened Twitter, his own platform, and typed, "Just got kicked out of restaurant name in San Francisco for wearing a MAGA hat." Apparently, political views aren't welcome unless they align with the establishment's own. So much for tolerance. Then cancel culture, doonpaman, free speech. He hit send, and just like that, the internet erupted. Within minutes, notifications flooded his phone. Thousands of replies, retweets, and quote tweets started pouring in. Some defended him, outraged that a private business would discriminate against someone just for their beliefs. Others cheered on the restaurant, claiming they had every right to refuse service. But what happened next took things to another level. Popular conservative voices jumped on the story. Political commentators, influencers, and even members of Congress started weighing in. Some called for a boycott of the restaurant, while others demanded an apology. On the other side, liberal activists and media outlets accused Elon of manufacturing outrage, claiming he was just seeking attention. But the one thing no one could do? Ignore it. By the time the restaurant's manager, Michael, saw the tweet, it had already been viewed over 50 million times. His phone was buzzing nonstop. Customers were calling, reporters were emailing, and corporate was demanding answers. "What the hell is going on?" the owner, a man named Richard Caldwell, growled over the phone. Michael swallowed hard. It's about that guest I asked to leave earlier, the one you kicked out over a hat." "Sir, I was just enforcing our policy." "Well, congratulations, Michael," Caldwell interrupted, "because now we're the most hated restaurant in America." Elon sat in his Tesla, scrolling through the responses. He took a sip of his Diet Coke and smirked. He knew exactly how to handle situations like this. Within an hour, he fired off another tweet. "Freedom of thought is under attack. If you're in SF and believe in free speech, I'm buying dinner for the first 1,000 people who show up at another restaurant's name tonight. Let's support businesses that actually respect their customers." The tweet blew up instantly. People started lining up outside the new restaurant within minutes. News crews arrived to capture the spectacle. The owner of the alternate restaurant, a small, locally owned steakhouse, was overjoyed, calling it the best night of business they'd ever had. And as for the restaurant that had kicked him out, their Yelp page was flooded with one-star reviews. People were canceling reservations. The backlash was so fierce that by the end of the night, the restaurant had to shut down temporarily. The next morning, as the controversy continued to grow, Elon's phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Mr. Musk, this is Michael, the restaurant manager from last night. I need to talk." Elon stared at the screen, raising an eyebrow. Well, well, what did Michael want? An apology? A second chance? Either way, Elon had a feeling this wasn't over yet. Elon Musk stared at his phone screen, debating whether to respond. The restaurant manager, Michael, wanted to talk. But why? Was it damage control? A desperate attempt to save his job? Curiosity got the best of him. He replied, "All right, meet me at X headquarters in an hour." Michael's response was almost immediate. "I'll be there." An hour later, Michael walked into the towering X headquarters, his face pale. He had spent the last 24 hours watching his career crumble. Customers were canceling reservations. Corporate was furious. Protesters had even gathered outside the restaurant. When he reached Elon's office, he took a deep breath and stepped inside. Elon sat casually at his desk, sipping a Diet Coke. "So," he said, raising an eyebrow. "What do you want to talk about?" Michael hesitated before speaking. "I messed up." Elon didn't say anything, just leaned back in his chair. Michael exhaled sharply. "Look, I was just following what I thought was the right thing to do. My staff, my customers, I thought they wouldn't want someone wearing that hat in the restaurant. I didn't think it would turn into this." Elon studied him for a moment. "And now that it has?" Michael swallowed. "Now I realize I was wrong. It wasn't about the hat. It was about me deciding who gets to have an opinion and who doesn't. That's not my job." Elon tapped his fingers on the desk. "You know, I get criticized every day. People call me crazy, a billionaire troll, a wannabe politician. I don't care. Free speech isn't about protecting what's popular. It's about protecting everything, even the stuff you don't like. Michael nodded, shame on his face. I get it now, and I want to fix this. Elon smirked. How? Michael hesitated. An apology, publicly. I want to set the record straight. Elon leaned forward, suddenly intrigued. All right, let's do it. Within the hour, Elon and Michael were sitting in a studio at X headquarters, going live to millions of viewers. Michael took a deep breath and began. Last night, I kicked Elon Musk out of my restaurant because of a hat. I thought I was standing up for something important, but I was wrong. What I did was hypocritical. I silenced someone just because I didn't agree with them, and that's not what free speech is about. The comment section exploded. Some people cheered. Others called it too little, too late. Then Elon leaned into the mic. We're all going to make mistakes, but the real test is whether we learn from them. Cancel culture isn't the answer. Understanding is. The live stream shattered records. Over 100 million views in the first hour. The next day, Elon posted one final tweet. Freedom of speech matters. Michael gets it now. So I'm giving him a job at X. People were stunned. The same guy who had kicked him out was now working for him. Michael had gone from villain to redemption in less than 48 hours. And the restaurant that had kicked out Elon? Well, after losing half their customers, they quietly shut down 2 months later. The lesson: one mistake doesn't define you. What you do next does. What a story. This just goes to show that every action has consequences. But more importantly, every mistake is an opportunity to grow. Michael thought he was making a statement, but in the end, he learned a powerful lesson. Freedom of speech isn't about agreeing with everyone. It's about allowing different voices to be heard. And Elon, instead of holding a grudge, he chose to educate, not cancel. That's what real leadership looks like. So, what do you think? Did Michael deserve a second chance? Would you have handled things the way Elon did? Let me know in the comments. And hey, if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. We've got plenty more inspiring, thought-provoking, and shocking stories coming your way. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay curious, stay kind, and I'll see you in the next one.